4 a.m.
This may be the most offensive show we've done quite some time.
It's not over yet either.
Welcome to the Armstrong and Getty Show.
Thank you very much for tuning in.
One or more of us has offended so many people today.
Yes, well.
And I don't know. It's in the air.
These are difficult times. It's time for tough talk, plain talk.
But anyway, welcome to the Armstrong and Getty Show.
Just talked to Dr. Rutledge, who's an interesting guy, believes the banning of DDT has cost billions of people their lives, as he put it, black, brown, and yellow babies, mostly, as determined by a couple of people in Washington, D.C. He claims the environmental damage from DDT is minor at best, and in a trade-off with those hundreds of millions of lives, it's just a no-brainer. I don't know that much about it. And here's where perhaps we can turn to our beloved listeners.
What's a good parallel that we do know something about? Nuclear power.
Yes.
We don't have nuclear power in this country because of the giant anti-nuclear power movement of the early 70s, and it's one of the safest power on Earth.
Purely hippie hysteria. I blame Jackson Brown. Purely hysteria and overblown fears, yeah.
It's not hard to imagine that could have also been true with DDT, which worked great for killing mosquitoes.
Right.
Cuts down on malaria and other horrible diseases you get.
I ran through a cloud of it as a 4-year-old. The good doctor says I'm better off, which is difficult to believe.
So I don't know.
1-866-331-TALK is a toll-free phone number. 1-866-331-8255.
I was going to ask him, have they not invented anything that works as well? But why would you? You don't need to. Yeah. It works well and has no downside, apparently.
Allegedly,
according to him. And I haven't done I'll do some independent tests in my lab today.
John in Roseville. Hi, John. Go ahead. You're on the Armstrong and Getty Show. Talk to us.
Hey, good morning, guys. I think that guy had so much information, but he kind of reminded me of a politician who was being accused of a sex scandal. He just really wasn't going to give it to you unless you asked him piece by piece every question. You had to drag information on him like a criminal.
What was missing, my knowledgeable friend?
Well, just the part where you kept saying, what's it doing, and he wouldn't tell you, oh, by the way, it kills mosquitoes. That was a whole lot of work. But the problem with DDT, the conceived problem is that there was a compiling of the negative chemicals in insects. The birds or fish would eat that and would get a compounding of the amount in them. And it probably was happening, and there would be some birds lost. But if there was 10, 12 million Americans dying every year of malaria, I think we'd give up the birds. I think we'd give up a few of the birds and fish.
Interesting. All right, John, thanks. Yeah, it's a question of balance, of course.
From the text line, my grandfather uses DDT in India. He takes a big handful barehanded, tosses it around his garden every day. He's been doing it for about 40 years, no health problems.
He's probably going to die soon.
Of course, some people smoke all day their whole lives and it doesn't do anything. It doesn't. That's anecdotal evidence.
Yeah, at best. How about Lance in Sacramento? Hi, Lance.
Hi, guys. Great debate. I would say I'm a 30-year entomologist from the University of California.
Okay.
Don't hold that against me, but I will tell you there's a couple of good comments. Certainly it softened bird shells. There was biomagnification. We had those issues, but listen, I had friends from around the world. A friend from Egypt said that every year 10 or more of his classmates would die when he was like 8, 9, 10 years old from malaria and never had a chance to get, cancer. So DDT is persistent. It's really non-mammalian toxic, which is nice about it. The problem is we were starting to see it build up in, mother's milk and in animals and causing the bird shell issue, which was real. But like the last guy said, when there's a trade-off in an epidemic, you would revert to that to save our children versus maybe a flock of birds that are dying from a virus or something anyways.
Right, and I think Dr. Rutledge's point, Lance, was that since it is brown, yellow, and black babies a world away, the guys in Washington don't particularly give a damn. Now, I want to make sure I'm not being misled about the possible effects of DDT, but it's a whale of an argument.
It is. It's a good one, and there were professors that argued against the anti-DDT back in the day, and they were kind of discarded. I would say this, for the major chemical companies I worked for before I started working on natural products, which in no way would control, a mosquito issue that we're talking about that would be in third worlds. But what I would say is that the big major chemical companies didn't want to defend DDT because it had become generic, and they had alternatives that would cost more money and give them.
So was that book Silent Spring kind of the 3 Mile Island? What was
Rachel Carson, and she.
Well, hang on a second. What was the name of the movie about 3 Mile Island with Meryl Streep?
Oh well, that was different. That was
Well, no, that was a work. That was a heavily fictionalized work that whipped everybody up into a frenzy.
Right. And the Rachel Carson book, affected me when I was young and in my youth, thinking, okay, I want to go do something positive for the world. But, we haven't found a better alternative than DDT for malaria control to date. And we are a pretty sophisticated nation. So
as a 30-year etymologist, what's your entomologist? What's your favorite bug? What are you into? What do you really like to study?
Assassin bugs.
How do you feel about killing bugs? Do you think they ought to be caught in your house and released in the backyard, or are you all right with just squishing them?
No, I could step on one, even if it's a spider. Don't worry about that.
All right.
All right, Lance, appreciate it. With the Dr. Hibbert laugh there. Mr. Simpson.
So I'm a little confused, though. How did America banning DDT kill billions of people around the world, since the rest of the world can use it if they want?
We, as the doctor said, we spend tens of millions of dollars trying to get other governments to ban it. We reached out the heavy hand of Uncle Sam and slapped it out of their poor brown hands, apparently. I don't know. Got a worldwide ban going. I don't know, there's only 2 places they make it in India now? I don't know. 1-866-331-TALK. This is Charlie in Pebble Beach.
I hate mosquito bites. Just hate them.
All right, then. We're talking about dying babies. Nobody cares if you have a mosquito bite. My God, man. My God. Judy's allergic to them. They swell up and get big and ugly, and it looks like she was bit by a brown recluse spider.
I think they're worse for me than most people, because it's just awful when I get one.
Yeah, they'd come and go. I'm immune. Charlie in Pebble Beach. Charlie, how are you?
Hi, Jack and Joe. How are you guys doing?
Good. You make it out to the golf course there, Pebble Beach, to see Bill Murray hacking around?
I did. Beautiful weather.
Yeah.
We felt guilty the weather was so good down here.
Well, I'll come down anytime to play. You just let me know.
You felt guilty the weather was so good. Shut up.
So what about DDT?
Well, my dad was a director out at Hopkins Marine Station, which is down, it's run by Stanford. It's down next to the Monterey Bay Aquarium here in Monterey. And he was one of the key researchers who helped actually ban DDT. He was studying how it affected pelicans, which is sort of what the other guy was studying.
Brown pelican. I've gotten several texts about the endangered brown pelican.
Right. And I get what people are saying, like, okay, so we lose a few pelicans, but we save, millions of people.
And I don't get mosquito bites.
What Dad was studying was basically, you spray it in Salinas Valley on the crops, it ends up in the Salinas River, gets into the fish, and the fish get into pelicans. And it just goes through the whole food chain. But the key to the whole thing was just that it's toxic and it doesn't go away. And other countries could still use it. It wasn't like we banned it here and nobody could get it anywhere. We probably started selling more over there once they banned it here.
So it doesn't dissipate. It just kind of stays around and increases in concentration. And the idea was we ought to cut it off before it gets too thick. Is that right?
Exactly. In fact, my father had some vein surgery on his leg. He had some fat removed and had it analyzed, and he had DDT stored in his fat cells. And he was like, Mr. Gotta wash your vegetables 20 times before you eat them. The whole deal. Was extremely careful not to expose himself to any of that stuff.
Would that do him any harm?
Well,
maybe it helps my liver function, like the doctor said.
Yeah, long-term exposure, of course, was really bad. But he always talked about some guy that swore DDT was fine, and he drank, 3 teaspoons a day or something. He lived somewhere in California, and he ended up dying of cancer.
That is funny.
Yeah, it's hilarious. Charlie, thanks for the call. Appreciate it.
He's just keeping in theme with today's show.
Right, yeah. Right? Heartlessness.
Yeah. Behold the marvelous pelican. His beak can hold more than his belly can. That's Kipling or, I don't know, T.S. Eliot. T.S. Eliot.